Some people are going to think that the flavor of you is too much. Some people are going to think that you're too bitter or you're too sweet. But the palette of the multitudes that you contain is much too wide and expansive and vast to ever dare water yourself down to accommodate other people's taste buds. Welcome to Just Little Magic Monday, particularly your Just Little Magic Monday astrology forecast for the week of August 14th to August 20th, 2023, where we are discussing, just as we do every single week here in my Cosmic Corner, what is ahead for this week's astrology forecast. And what we really strive to focus on is how you will feel these themes and influences as you navigate your universe. And furthermore, beyond just navigating with the cosmos, we strive to co-create with the cosmos, how you can take advantage of some of the celestial blessings that behold us within this week's astrology, as well as navigating some of the unexpected snafus and surprises that the week ahead astrology has in store for us. And that is a key part with this week's astrology. We have a Leo new moon on August 16th that makes an exact square to Uranus, and we have Sun squaring Uranus. Now, buckle in your seatbelts when it comes to Uranian sort of weeks, because the essence of Uranus is expect the unexpected. It indicates a week ahead of surprises. Perhaps pleasant surprises, perhaps unpleasant surprises. And last week we had Venus square Uranus. So we've been navigating some of this Uranus energy. Let me know how that went below for you all. I did not particularly like this surprise that came my way. More on that in a moment. But when it comes to Uranus energy, there can be this call for change within our life, a call for disruption, a call for rebellion, as well as unexpected events that just elicit a volatile response from us. Uranus kind of puts like a lightning bolt into the week's astrology, where there's certain essences of this week where you can be feeling very restless. You can feel this urge around wanting to jump out of your own skin, wanting to do something different, wanting to rebel. And that can be very powerful, especially since it's embedded with this Leo new moon. There's this very can't be tamed essence as it relates to this Leo new moon around following your heart space and rebelling against anyone who's trying to put you into a box or tell you how to be or who to be. And maybe some of these surprises are sort of spotlighting a certain component of yourself where it's like, hold on, no, this isn't even my life any longer. I don't even recognize this. I need a new start, and I need this new start to feel empowered and authentic and representative of all of the power and all of the facets and all of the nuances that I contain, even if other people don't necessarily understand it. Because when it comes to this new moon, it's conjoined with Lilith, and we'll talk deeply about Lilith. This is a Lilith new moon, but the essence that I want to communicate here is that it is about essentially taking your power back, calling your power back. If you're feeling forced to play a role that you're like, I don't want to do this, like Lilith is all about our power to basically be like, no, this is not who I want to be. This is not what I want to settle for. This is not behavior that I'm going to take. And if you have been navigating your life feeling very disconnected with who it is that you are, crushing yourself under the weight of the role of what other people expect you to be, this is a new moon to stand fiercely within your power and to detach from needing everybody to understand it, because one thing's for sure, most people won't. And that's the energy of Uranus, is channeling and chiseling our inner weirdo. And the energy of Lilith is about understanding that people will say you're too this, you're too that, you're too much, you're too little. And it's almost like there's parts of this new moon that a lot of us, especially those who have been an empath and kind of taken on everybody's emotions and always felt like you had to help everybody and fix everybody, or those of you who might feel like the people pleaser, the perfectionist, like, you know, that energy when you've just had enough, where it's like you've tried to be everything and do everything for everybody and it's still not enough. So you just have this moment where it's just like, I am done. Like you tap into your fierceness because you're like, I've been bending over backwards, making all of these sacrifices, trying to be what everybody wants me to be, and you're telling me it's still not enough? That's what this new moon is about. It's about that moment where you're like, okay, well then forget this. I'm not living for you all any longer. I'm living for me. This is the last full week of Leo season. And Leo season, sun and rulership, is the pure definition of main character energy, and like understanding, wait, I'm the star of my own show. I'm the protagonist of my own story. And if there is an energy where you're like, is somebody else writing my book? Like I'm playing this role that doesn't even feel like me. It's like taking the pen back. It's taking your power back. It's centering yourself within your own world. And sometimes if people are used to having you as their trusty sidekick or the person who's always there or the martyr or what have you, that sometimes can get some pushback. There can be some disruption. And I'm telling you, if you relate to these themes, Lilith and Uranus is going to support you in detaching from caring. Because I said this within the Leo new moon forecast, make sure to check it out. I'll link it above as well as below. We go through sign by sign what it's bringing up for you. But the only people who get uncomfy when you establish boundaries are the people who were used to taking advantage of them, okay? So there is this energy around tapping into our power, around honoring the full essence of who it is that we are, which is shadow work as well. Because oftentimes when it comes to doing it all and being perfect, you can shove down any feelings of resentment and anger and be like, oh, that's bad. Like it's so important for me to be kind and nice and sweet all of the time, but that's not realistic. And you leak your power out by demonizing those aspects of yourself. Now, am I saying we have to go into this week rebelling against everybody and kicking mailboxes and wreaking havoc on this world? Not at all. But what I am saying here is understand you do have a shadow side. You do have aspects of yourself that you would consider maybe mean, or you would consider rude, or a prima donna, or whatever part of you that you try to shove down and hold behind this mask around, I'm just here, I'm perfect, I do everything right, I do everything for everybody else, I put everybody's needs beyond myself, hiding all of these aspects of yourself that you do find ugly or bad. This is a new moon about reclaiming it and understanding there are parts of our shadow self sometimes that we need. Like sometimes making peace with, yeah, I have a part of me that's a little spicy. I have a part of me that's a little sassy. And rather than shoving it and pretending like it's not there, sometimes it is helpful to call upon that version of ourselves in order to say, whether it's to a friend, that is not okay with me, or advocating to your kid's teacher, why did you tell my kid this? Or at work saying that is not my job description. Like sometimes when we shove that into the crevices around, it's so bad that I have this frustration, that I have this sass within me. It's like sometimes you can call upon that. Obviously everything in moderation, and we'll talk about it, but Lilith could most certainly go to excess. But this is a week around making peace with that darkness, that shadow side that exists within you, and really taking the step towards genuine self-love. Because I'm telling you right now, trying to be everything for everybody, trying to be the perfect one, and putting other people's needs before your own, that is not self-love. That is never going to be self-love. Sometimes with this Lilith Leo new moon, you have to be a little fierce around protecting your sunshine, around what lights you up. So we will be talking about this so much more in depth, in addition to the other celestial events that are occurring this week with Venus trine Chiron, Mars trine Uranus, and all of the other blessings and opportunities within this week's astrology. I just want to make a quick announcement. The doors are closing for Self-Care Summer, which is a workshop series of self-care astrology, my astrology course. Doors close August 31st, so that's the final day that you can enroll in either the 4-week Luminary of Self-Care Moon course or the 8-week full astrology course in order to be with us with our astrology workshop series. We have some juicy topics with this particular workshop series. We are talking about virtues and vice within the birth chart. We're talking about attracting your soulmate using house rulerships. That'll be a workshop taught by Melanie from Life in the Astros. She's absolutely brilliant. She moved through the self-care astrology program. She was honestly one of the first students, and it's made me so proud of her to see how much she has just evolved as an astrologer and just has the most on-point, insightful delineations. I'm so excited for you guys to learn from her. We're talking about brand within the birth chart, how to look at your chart and understand the best ways for you to relate to the public as it relates to your creativity, as it relates to your business, the best attributes to kind of chisel as part of your brand, as part of your marketing strategy in order to reach the people that you want to reach and have the impact that your chart was destined to have. We'll also talk about karmic connections within astrology, how you can see if you have past lives with somebody utilizing your birth charts, how to understand why these particular connections came into your life, and then we'll be wrapping it up with evolving through eclipses, in which we're going to give you a breakdown around what these eclipses in October are bringing up for your chart. As with all of these workshop series, we use your chart within class examples, so you will not only be empowered with these topics, with this information, you will also get some insights on your birth chart. So that workshop series will be open to anybody who enrolls in either of the courses at any tier. So there are some tiers tiers if you are craving one-on-one support from me every single week, or you can just jump into the course and you get the online course content in addition to these live workshops. So would so love to have you within. I do have a code Leo New Moon will get you 33% off any of the tiers. So all of that information will be below, or you can just go to www.selfcareastrology.com to check it out. But let's go ahead and take a step inside my cosmic cafe. So let me know what you are sipping on to start your week. Is it coffee? Is it tea? As I highlighted, it's a very rebellious week within the cosmos, and I'm honoring my own inner rebel. I'm drinking a Celsius, it's called Peach Vibe, because me and Celsiuses have a very interesting relationship. We have a very love-hate sort of relationships. I love them, and the people in my life hate that I drink them. For a couple of reasons. One of my best friends calls them poisonous stew, and they're probably not great for me and my constitution. Like one time I was leaving Pilates and the parking lot there is like kind of sus, and it was parked against a wall, and I had drank in one of these Celsiuses and my heart was like fluttering so fast. I was like literally about to freak out trying to get out of this parking lot, like trying literally for a half hour. And then I finally called my boyfriend in tears. I was like, can you come here and move my car for me and get me out of this parking lot? And he rolled up within like 10 minutes and he was like, okay, no more Celsiuses, but maybe no more Celsiuses while driving. Maybe that's the new rule. So I'm rebelling in my own sort of way by drinking this right now. I think what most of the people in my life say is that I'm just kind of a lot when I am sipping them. But I think this week's astrology, it's really about making peace that you're gonna be too much for people. People are gonna think that your energy is too much or not enough or what have you. You just have to do you. You have to do what feels right. And today, what felt right is drinking a Celsius. So that is that. And without further ado, let's go ahead and take it into vibe check of the week. So here in vibe check of the week, we essentially take the overall vibe of the week's astrology. So if those words that I was thrown at you, you're like, girl, what is Uranus? What does it mean that there's a new moon? What does it mean that Mars is trining Uranus? If that doesn't necessarily elicit a strong reaction or response in you, we essentially take all of those astrological energies, mush them all together and compare it to a real life scenario. So yes, you may not know the intricacies of what it means that Venus just became a morning star over the weekend, but you can tune into a real life example of how this energy can come to the surface within your universe. So I do need to make a disclaimer before we go into this, in that when I do vibe check of the week, essentially what I do is I write down all of the week's astrology and then I just empty my brain, or just whatever, you know, spirit shows me within my mind's eye is the vibe check. Like that's how I do it every single week. And a lot of times how, at least this is just how it works for me, it might look much different for you all, but a lot of times how things are essentially downloaded or how I transmit information or convey something is that spirit will like bring up a certain memory of mine or like something that's within my lexicon of awareness so that I'm able to communicate it. So I just need to make a disclaimer that when it relates to my life experiences, you know, it's not always going to be the most deep. It's not always going to be the most deep and philosophical. I wish I could sit here and make vibe check of the week, you know, some sort of parable, but of course the way that spirit decided to communicate this vibe check this week is really through pop culture. Because when it comes to my chart and my design, I have North Node in the 3rd house. So while I do love astrology, I've studied it for years, I do consider myself a very spiritual person. I'm not the person who's meditating for 23 hours a day. Like I'm sitting here in a black mini dress and a Celsius. I'm not gonna be a person who's eating just sea moss and is able to sit here and make everything this grand philosophical parable that's very, very deep. Like it's just not true to my own style. Sometimes the things that come through aren't the most spiritually thought-provoking thing ever, and that's just simply never going to be the astrologer that I am. So just a quick note, because this week the vibe check that came through was essentially a rebellious pop star. Okay, and hear me out on this. This week's astrology feels like, think of like child stars or people who got famous when they were pretty young, and like when they're beginning to transition into being older, maybe their music videos are getting a little bit more scandalous, the way that they wear, they're having, you know, scandals, and there's this energy of rebellion around whether it's media or management, has tried to tell me who to be, has tried to tell me what to do, and now I'll show them. Because again, when things are too controlled, when you are told you have to be perfect and you can never mess up and you have to keep your public image as squeaky clean as possible, that's when all of this energy builds up, and that shadow side that we were talking about earlier gets stronger and stronger and stronger. Because again, you're having to hide all of that and just always be sweet and always be on. And that's why, lots of people who get famous at a young age, they do have this tendency to lash out and to be wild because there's so much that they have to kind of keep under the surface. So the music video that came up when I was thinking about this week's vibe check was the music video Can't Be Tamed by Miley Cyrus. Again, that's when she was going through that arc. So again, I'm a millennial. So like for me, what comes up when I think about this is like Britney Spears, like the Slave For You music video, like Christina Aguilera, like the Dirty music video, like Can't Be Tamed. I don't know why that was the music video that came up, but she was like dancing in a cage, and the lyrics are just basically about like, I can't be tamed. And I think when these individuals are going through this kind of rebellion, whether it's against the people in their life that are trying to control them or the media overall, it's like this energy around, I've been put into this machine, I've been told who to be and what to say and what not to say and what to wear, and there's just like this energy where a lot of these individuals do lash out and they are wild and crazy because we did not come here as humans to be as controlled and perfect as possible. And yes, it goes to the excess sometimes. Some of the scandals that occur, it can really toe the line. It could really go to excess, but that's what happens when we push so much into the shadow side. And again, you might not be a pop star, you might not be dancing in a gigantic cage singing about how you cannot be tamed, but maybe there's parts of you that you've been pushing into the shadow side. Because again, what we push into the shadows has the ability to fester and has the ability to grow and get more and more powerful until it kind of needs to lash out. Like again, if we do not make peace with the parts of us that we push into the shadows, we give it more and more power. And that's when it wants to take the driver's seat and make us do things that are a little bit outrageous and wild and beyond, and maybe even go to excess, right? It's only when we try to control, be perfect, try to hit snooze. Like Uranus sort of weeks are the time that we cannot hit snooze on the parts of our authentic self that we've been trying to push into the shadows. It's basically a time that we can rebel. And sometimes that rebellion can look very dramatic if we have not been honoring any part of that. And with this new moon, it's gathered with Venus retrograde. And Venus just got reborn as a morning star over the weekend. We'll talk about it in a moment. But with this energy, it's like genuine self-love is loving all of you. It's loving your sunshine, your talents, what it is that you put out, your heart space, the amazing parts of you, but it's also loving your shadows, right? Because sun creates shadows. It's just part of the human experience. It's part of this duality that we're talking about. And so when it comes to this vibe check of being, a rebellious pop star and like the arc within these individuals' careers where they have these music videos where they're like, this is who I am and you can't control me and you can't tell me what to do. Like in some ways it's us reclaiming our power, right? And we need to talk about like Lilith in some traditions is a very sensual archetype. So it is about reclaiming our desires as well, reclaiming our ability to have our own desires, even if it doesn't gel with the squeaky clean image that we're expected to uphold or the role that we are expected to uphold. It's like embracing, this is what I want. This is the path that I want. This is how I want to express myself. And I'm not going to feel bad about it. I'm not going to have any guilt or shame around these aspects of myself. Because when things exist within the darkness, within our shadow self, that's where guilt and shame can fester, because we don't even acknowledge those parts of us. So then we feel this urge to have this false self because we don't want anyone to see that. But if you can look into that and be like, yeah, I'm a little sassy, but whatever. I'm a little bit of a prima donna, but like whatever aspects of you that are there, if you can make peace with that, you stop feeling like you have to run around and be everything to everybody because you've made peace with it. But again, this essence of the rebellious pop star basically embodies this energy within this week around, you cannot control me, you cannot tell me what to do, and taking our power back. Again, music videos are what came up, and that was like them kind of doing that with their image around, look at me, I'm multifaceted. Now I have these aspects of myself that I want to show, and I'm growing up and I'm a multifaceted individual. But they also, outside of their music videos and their arc, they also kind of rebel outside of that. Like I just think, again, millennial here, but I just think of, Miley with the salvia. Like that was so controversial at the time because again, it's like, what do you mean you're not squeaky clean and perfect all the time? No one is, right? And it's only when we deny and deny and deny our darkness or the part of us that is rebellious or wild or can't be tamed that we feel the urge to rebel in perhaps much bigger ways. So the ask this week is to rebel. No, you don't have to, create a whole music video in order to rebel, but rebel in the ways that make sense for you. Allow yourself to go into your shadow side and make peace with what is there so that that darkness does not overtake you. And again, it won't. It's something scary, but what I mean by that is it's like if you have been in a connection where you're constantly in the martyr role and that resentment builds and builds, it's going to explode and you're going to be mean and cruel, much more mean and cruel than you would have been had you just asserted your boundaries earlier and made peace with, yeah, they might think I'm a little rude for saying this. Again, when that energy builds and builds, it festers, and then you could want to lash out or explode or do something major within the media in the case of the pop stars, or have a music video that's very controversial to be like, look at this is who I am now. Like, again, this is about making peace with, yes, your sunshine and your darkness, and it is a new start for you, authentic, rebellious new start. So let's go ahead and take it into our day-by-day analysis. So Monday, August 14th, I want to let you know we are in the waning crescent moon phase prior to Wednesday's new moon in Leo. So oftentimes when it comes to waning crescent moons, we are feeling more inclined to come inward. So if you're like, Haley, Comet, I'm not in the mood to go film, edit, and direct my own music video, no worries. You don't have to. Like, this energy of rebellion can look different person to person. Maybe there's certain activities that you always feel like you have to say yes to. You always need to be there. And maybe your act of rebellion is just not doing so. Maybe you've been putting a lot of pressure to eat in a particular way, and this is a week around rebelling around eating in the ways that feel good for you. Maybe it's dressing in the ways that feel good for you, with Venus trine Chiron the same day. But I want to say that with this energy of waning crescent moon, there can be an emphasis upon shedding and releasing. You can be feeling pretty emotional. When it comes to Uranus sort of weeks, we can feel very restless. We're like, something in my life needs to change and I don't know what. And the energy of Uranus, it's not as destructive as Pluto necessarily, but it is destructive in that we just want to jump out of our own skin. We almost just want to set fire to everything because we're like, suddenly everything's wrong. We just want to kind of jump out of our own skin. In regards to it, around there's aspects of our life that have felt mundane, or aspects of the role that we're playing where it's just like, I just want to do something different. I need a new job, new city, new everything, right? And we're not necessarily totally aligned with the clarity around what genuinely will be the best for our new start, but we're just feeling that restlessness, and it just makes us want to disrupt everything. So observe that restlessness without feeling like you need to, lash out or do something drastic. Again, lash out in your own ways, rebel in your own ways. Rebellion's going to look different person to person, but don't feel like you have to change everything in your life. Know that if you are feeling the sensations around suddenly everything's wrong, you're in tune with the cosmos. Observe the data around what are the most heart-centered shifts that would feel the best for you, or where are the ways that your authenticity is not being honored as it relates to your reality, is essentially the ask here. And with the waning crescent moon, observe what it is that you're ready to let go of, whether it's certain ways of seeing yourself, right? Whether it's certain aspects of yourself, whether maybe it's even certain shame of certain things that you kept within your shadow side. Like, the emphasis before a new moon is around release, release, release. Like, to an energetic level, sometimes we feel this nudge around, suddenly I just want to get rid of clothes. Suddenly I just want to get rid of stuff. Suddenly there's all of these emotions that I'm navigating. That is your body, mind, and soul preparing you for the new start on Wednesday. And so lean into where it is that you're feeling like everything in your life is suddenly wrong. Lean into suddenly wanting to essentially clean and organize and get rid of stuff. Lean into having all of these awarenesses come up around things that you want to let go of. That indicates this is a more powerful new start for you building on Wednesday. So the day starts with a Cancer moon, but it does enter Leo around 3:30 a.m. The moon will be void from about 12:45 a.m. PDT to 3:38 a.m. PDT, and the moon will continue in Leo all day. So again, you could feel some of this Leo energy around heart-centered and loving and generous and creative, but again, it's waning crescent. So you might be feeling a little bit more subdued. You might be kind of coming inward. You might feel a little bit more withdrawn. An aspect that I mentioned within the intro that I want to go more in deeply now is that over the weekend we had the Venus Cazimi, and now Venus is shifting from being an evening star to being a morning star. And the difference there is that evening star is a little bit more inward, we'll say. It's a little bit more inward, like again, evening, darkness, like it's a little bit more in the shadows. It's a little bit more of a deep dive into our innermost landscape. And again, Venus has been retrograde, so it's really been making you reflect around what is that I value, what is my heart in, what is my heart not in, what is the status within my relationships, how am I feeling safe to express myself within them, and how am I not? And with the energy of now Venus starting this new cycle as a morning star, it's a little bit more outward. It's a little bit more around taking action. Like, you can also tune into this within your birth chart. Look if Venus was an evening star or a morning star. I should do a video on that, but that can also indicate if you are somebody who's a little bit more thoughtful and sometimes holds on to the past a little bit more so in love, that would be an evening star Venus. Or if you're somebody who is much more impulsive as it relates to matters of the heart. So again, Venus is still retrograde, but with Venus being a morning star, you can find that you've been really diving into the deep shadows, like the underworld of things that you have not processed and healed from. And it should feel a little bit lighter just with Venus now being a morning star, especially if you're ruled by Venus, you're going to feel the shift a little bit more so. But what I want to highlight here is that we are having this healing flow of energy coming in with Venus trine Chiron. With Venus trine Chiron, this is healing as it relates to our relationships. We talked a lot about relationships last week. Make sure to check out last week's Magic Monday to check out more about that, because there was kind of disruptions there. And with Venus trine Chiron, this is sort of the healing balm around. With Venus square Uranus, there could have been something unexpected, whether financially, that's how it manifested for me, or romantically, or what have you. And with Venus trine Chiron, it's like kind of this healing balm around understanding what it was that that relationship taught you, what it was that that random expense taught you, or what have you, and kind of healing into that. And Venus is in Leo trining Chiron, and I want to let you know Venus has been retrograde. So if you've not been feeling your most confident, if you have not been feeling your most charming, if you have not been feeling your most beautiful, Venus is retrograde, so it's not operating at its fullest, capacity necessarily. But with the trine to Chiron, there's like some healing balm there, because like I said, there's a huge emphasis on shadow work this week. And with Venus being the planet of beauty, it's like, yes, loving yourself when you are dolled up and feeling your best, but also loving yourself during those days when you're not necessarily feeling your best. Or maybe taking it off the pedestal around feeling like your worth is tied up into your looks, and just realizing this is a body by which I am here to navigate this world with, and I'm gonna dress in the ways that make me feel good and adorn myself in the ways that make me feel good, because that's the thing, it can feel so good. Like, Venus is in Leo. This is the energy around putting on a show, being a little extra. Like, yes, I'm sitting here in a black holographic mini dress and I'm waiting for my plumber to get here. I'm going to answer the door in a black mini dress, but I'm dressing in a way that makes me feel good. Like, I think that's what genuine self-expression is wearing what it is that you want to wear that makes you feel your best. And sometimes that's over the top, right? With Venus and Leo, and with it trining Chiron, releasing needing a certain response to it, or releasing an attachment to perfection, just allowing yourself to express yourself in the way that makes you feel good, whether that's a black mini dress and a scrunchie, or maybe that's not putting as much effort into your appearance and just being like, okay, this is who it is that I am, and I'm just navigating this world and I feel beautiful regardless. Again, that's amazing. It's all about expressing yourselves in the way that you want to. And with the trine to Chiron, there's like a healing theme coming in where it's like, maybe there was an element of control around, okay, you can't wear this, or people are going to judge you for wearing this, where it's just this energy around, this is what I want to wear. Right? Which is what's so interesting about, the pop star arc that I've been talking about within Vibe Check, is that sure, a lot of it is studios wanting them to wear a certain thing, but like when there's paparazzi pictures or what have you, it's like, it can feel very healing to take charge of your own image and to just wear what it is that you want to wear and not feel like it needs to be manufactured and perfect at every single moment. Like, some of my favorite Britney Spears paparazzi walks are like when she's wearing the most random outfits. Like, I always think of the Dump Him outfit, like this one. Like, again, it's what she wanted to wear. It's not the most manufactured, put together, but it's just her. And again, finding your style that's just you, that just makes you look like you. If you want to wear a lot of makeup, wear a lot of makeup. If you don't want to wear a lot of makeup, don't feel like you have to put a lot of makeup. There's just this energy with Venus trine Chiron, is observing those wounds around where it is that we felt like we had to present ourselves or express ourselves, and being like, F it, I'm gonna express myself in the way that makes me feel good. Whether that's dolling myself up because that's how I like to adorn myself and express myself, or maybe it's an energy around taking my appearance off the pedestal because I don't have the mental energy or bandwidth to give to it, and observing where society tells me that I need to be bucketing that and saying, F it, I don't need to. Like, my male counterparts at work do not have as much emphasis on their appearance. I'm not gonna wake up 45 minutes early to put on, false lashes and make sure I'm all dolled up. I'm gonna put that energy towards my presentation, right? Like, it's gonna differ for everybody. But I just wanna let you know, if you have been navigating a glow down, and again, with Venus retrograde, it's in your head, okay? I guarantee you're just as beautiful and just as valuable as you were prior. With the trine to Chiron, there's like some healing balm around just expressing yourself in the ways that make you feel good, good, doing what makes you feel beautiful and valuable. And I also just want to highlight that I think this Venus in Leo retrograde summer has been really fascinating when it relates to the Barbie movie. Like when we went last week, I'm telling you, the entire theater was packed. We went to a late showing and it was packed with girls dressed up in pink, dressed up in sequins. Everybody was like giggling and chatting and just being like over the top as it relates to femininity. And it's something that oftentimes is associated with not being intelligent. If you're wearing lots of pink and over the top, people won't take you seriously. And it could be healing to express yourself in the ways that you want to express yourself. Like again, Venus retrograde can also go to inner child healing. So maybe by you wearing what it is that you want to wear, you're also healing little you who wanted to wear the sequins and the pink, but wasn't able to, or the little you who was forced to wear dresses who didn't want to. Like again, there can be something powerful around reclaiming where we felt like we had to present ourselves and just presenting ourselves in the ways that feel good. And so I highlight that because again, like at that Barbie movie, like everyone was just in pink and just like so over the top with it. And it was so fun to be within that world. And I've just observed it. I didn't go, but like I've observed it within like the Eras tour and Taylor Swift. Everybody's wearing sequins and like kind of being over the top with it. Because again, it could be free to just celebrate these aspects of yourself. Because oftentimes that can also be something that's pushed down around, oh, people won't take you seriously, or oh, if you're wearing lots of pink, people will assume that you're a bimbo or that you're not intelligent or what have you. We are multifaceted as human beings. And that's the essence of Lilith. We'll get into that on Wednesday. The essence of Lilith is that we are multifaceted. The essence of Uranus is that we do not fit into a mold. You could be somebody who wears all pink and sequins on Monday and then takes the bar on Tuesday. Like again, these things that due to molds and how we conceptualize people, we think are mutually exclusive. And it can be so healing to just embrace the multitudes of who it is that you are and how it is that you want to express yourself and what it is that feels good and how it was that your inner child wanted to dress that didn't get the ability to do so, right? Because you didn't have that much agency at that time. You have agency now to take charge around wearing what it is that you want to wear, adorning yourself in the ways that you want to adorn yourself, and releasing people's judgment if they assume certain things by the way that you express yourself. Like who knows what this plumber is going to think with me wearing this black holographic mini dress in the middle of the day, right? But I don't really care. It's what I wanted to wear today. And so that's the essence of Venus that I want to highlight here, is that there can be something very healing about beauty and adorning yourself and to saying to the world, this is who I am. This is how I want to express myself. And with the trine Chiron, there's this healing balm of ways that you have not felt good enough, not felt pretty enough, not felt valuable enough, not felt like your look was right enough, and just reclaiming around, this makes me feel confident. I'm going to lead with that foot forward. That is the essence of Venus trine Chiron. So on Tuesday, the 15th, we do have Sun square Uranus. And the Sun is of utmost importance currently, as it is, of course, in rulership, and we have a new moon the next day. And the thing about the square to Uranus is that there can be things that are unexpected. Now, like I said, it can make us really want to rebel against our life. We can be feeling very, very restless around, I want something different. I want to shake things up, right? And again, you can almost just want to jump out of your skin. Everything feels wrong. Everything is not wrong, but Uranus almost makes us feel very, very antsy, where all of a sudden we just want to create change because we're not sure where exactly we're feeling this call around something needs to change here. Also, with Sun square Uranus, you could also observe this as it relates to the people within your life behaving unusually. Like we said with last week, Venus square Uranus, people could be craving more space, wanting to do their own thing. And again, positive sides of Uranus, positive surprises, spontaneous excursions that work out. Somebody dropping out of your retreat that makes you nervous, but then somebody else fitting in and filling in their spot perfectly. Like with the energy of Uranus, it shakes things up. And sometimes when things shake up, it can make you feel very nervous and anxious, and again, restless. It puts a wrench into our plans. And if possible, take what comes up in stride. Like Uranus can be helpful for being a little bit more detached and just being able to observe, oh, that's interesting. I'm feeling a really strong call to move. Observing it as data. Oh, that's interesting. This person within my life is behaving kind of oddly. Taking it as data. Oh, that's interesting. This unexpected event came in that's going to shift my plans of what I expected the day to be. That's interesting. Like again, Moon's in Leo, so you could be feeling a little bit more dramatic or maybe even like angry about it. But again, control is an illusion. It always brings me back, whenever I think of Uranus energy, it brings me back to this quote where it's like, you can hold on to the handlebars if you like the illusion of control, but it's much more fun to just let the wind carry you. Like again, control and our attachment to feeling like we know how things are going to be is utterly an illusion. And Oftentimes it's not helpful to completely dive into that because it can make you feel very out of control, but there can also be something freeing around it. I really don't have that much control over everything. Let me just do the best and be the best that I can within this particular moment, taking the data, making the shifts as see fit, observing what is coming to the surface, and essentially rocking with the unexpected arenas of life. So last week I would love to hear what your Venus square Uranus story was, what unexpected event happened either on Wednesday or around that day. Like I said, Uranus can be really happy surprises. So a surprise party, somebody brings in, pizza to the office on Tuesday, happy surprise. Your partner asks if you want to go away for the weekend, happy surprise. Like Uranus is not necessarily always, flat tires and inconveniences and snafus, right? It can go either way. Because again, we can demonize change and see change as a very, very bad thing because it can feel very scary, right? But again, I think it would be helpful, especially with Uranus and Taurus, I feel this is very appropriate, to anchor in when I change, I grow. Like those desires that I want, they are on the other side of change. And yes, the process of change, it can make you feel very anxious and very unsettled and very all over the place, but it is nudging you forward, although you will have to navigate with some time to kind of anchor in and integrate what comes up. So seeing if you can have that perspective around if there is an unexpected wrench in the plans, what if this was working out for me? Again, I might not be able to see it within this moment in time, but what if this was working out for me? What if this person departing my life is setting me up for something better? What if this rejection from the school that I really wanted to go to is aligning me to a much better career path or something of the nature? What if this surprise was divinely orchestrated? But I'm still trying to find the divine orchestration of my Uranian surprise last week. So I'm not saying you have to get there right away, but all I'm saying with the energy of Uranus, try not to take it personally. Things are going to go wrong. Things are going to happen that are unexpected. Last week, my Uranian surprise was a gigantic ceiling water bubble, like literally on the ceiling. All of a sudden there's like a bulbous part of my ceiling that's squishy to the touch. And I'm like, uh-oh, that's not what you want to see. And it's been such a nightmare getting that rectified. And of course it happened during a week that I was already very, very overwhelmed, had a lot going on, because I feel like that's always when Uranian sort of stuff happens, is when you literally do not have time to deal with it. Do not have time to deal with it. So I was like, uh-oh, my neighbor upstairs was not home. And so I was trying to find a plumber who would come out, and everybody was closed. It was after hours, of course, when I discovered this ceiling bulb. And finally, I find a plumber who's open, and the music that they put on hold, and I am not kidding, I tried to screen record it, but it recorded without sound. I'm kid you not. The song that they played while I was waiting on hold to be connected with the plumber to come save me and the bulb that was above me was this. The same song that I play on Magic Monday. Nobody's stealing anything from anybody. It's basically like a copyright-free sound, but I was almost in tears just because I was so overwhelmed. I was like nervous it was going to like pop at any second. It's still there. I still have not been able to get a plumber to come out. Finally, he's allegedly meant to be here within the hour, but we'll see, because he keeps ghosting me. It's been a whole thing. It's been a whole thing. But that moment, it made me laugh. Like, out of all of the copyright-free songs, like, what are the odds that it would also be the one that I always utilize for Magic Monday? I still don't know if there was a sign there, if that was the universe laughing at me. The energy of Uranus, the energy of Mercury retrograde shadow, it is helpful to laugh, right? Things are going to happen that are unexpected. And I'm probably not the person to be delivering this message, because I'm definitely somebody who gets in such a tizzy when things go wrong. Blame the Virgo moon, blame the Virgo rising. I get so personally offended. I guess stuff happens. Ceiling bubbles happen. Snafus happen, and it is important how it is that we navigate it. Again, it could be the last thing that you want to see, the last thing that you want to deal with, but if possible to laugh at it, at least to laugh at the absurdity of it, that you're literally sitting on hold, nearly in tears, waiting for a plumber, and the Magic Monday theme song plays. Like, if you can laugh at the absurdity, so be it. If you can chuckle at how many times you've been ghosted by the plumber and been waiting for this bulb to get taken care of and living in constant fear that it's going to explode at any moment, the better. And here's the essence of Sun square Uranus that I really want to express. Uranus shakes us up from our role. Sun in astrology has to do with ego and identity, how it is that we see ourselves and how it is that others see us, how it is that we glow and how it is that we shine, what it is that we put out there. And when it relates to Uranus, there's disruption in the role. Now, this can be something that you decide around, I know I am seen like this, but there are other aspects of myself that I want to be seen, that I want to put out there, that I want to express myself within. Like within our vibe check, it would be wanting to shake up our image, right? As a rebellious pop star, I would want to be being seen in a different way is the essence of it. And this can be something that we decide upon around, I know I'm seen as this sort of employee, but I'm disrupting that role and I want to be seen in a particular way. Or I know I'm branded as this, or I know I'm known as this, but I want to disrupt. There's other aspects of myself that are not getting the opportunity to shine. Because that's the thing, you contain multitudes. It brings me to that quote. Do I contradict myself? Very well, I contradict myself. I contain multitudes. You do. And that's where these roles that we're expected to play become very suffocating because we are more than one thing. And sometimes it's easier to conceptualize and, stereotype people as certain things, but it's like we are all wide and vast and contain all of these different facets and nuances to us. And so that's why sometimes it could be suffocating to just be one thing or just play one role. And sometimes there might be other aspects of yourself that you want to be seen as or be known for or to shine out, to express yourself within. And this can be a decision that you make around, I want to dress like this, I want to be seen like this, I want to disrupt my role like this, or it could be one that the universe makes for you. Because perhaps Uranus disrupts you from the role that you've been playing. Taking it back to my experience last week, I had a certain role of how I thought the week was going to go. I'm like, okay, I'm going to be astrologer Haley, I'm going to be, friend Haley, I'm going to be fun Haley, I'm going to dance class, I'm going to be dancer Haley. Like, those were the Haleys I was anticipating. But then the universe decided you're going to call upon a different Haley that you did not even expect that you were going to play, but alas, you're going to play the role because we're essentially forcing the circumstances we're going to have to. We're shaking things up. A new Haley has entered the chat. And that was home manager Haley, where rather than the week going how I thought it was going to be, a lot of it had to do with calling plumbers and calling HOA and notifying neighbors and researching and figuring this whole thing out. And it wasn't a role that I wanted, but it is something that is within me if the situation calls for it around when stuff's going down. Sometimes you have to call upon your reserves and be like, okay, I thought I was just going to be, worker bee Margaret. I just thought I was going to work, but now I have this flat tire. Now I have to call upon auto mechanic Margaret. That's within me. Like, you contain multitudes, and we do ourselves a disservice when we just expect ourselves to be one thing, because you're not just one thing. And I know sometimes when you're put in a situation where it's something unexpected, it's something that you do not want, like, oh, I did not want this flat tire, I did not want this sailing bubble, I did not want this experience within my relationship, but sometimes it just makes you draw in deeper into yourself and be like, okay, well, I guess auto mechanic Margaret has entered the chat. Home manager Haley has entered the chat. So sometimes it's not a conscious decision from us to rebel against our role. Sometimes it's the universe asking us to call upon a new iteration of ourselves, or at least a noticing, because this does happen the day before the new moon. So maybe observing ways that you do not feel in alignment with your entirety. So maybe within your business, like observing, like, my brand doesn't really capture all that I wanted to, all that I wanted to express. I feel stagnant and stuck within the art that I'm being expected to make right now. Or within my relationships, I feel like they just see this side of me. They don't see all of me. So there can be this embracing of that, or this acknowledgement of that. Because again, waning crescent moon can be this kind of withdrawing, introspective energy. And with Sun square Uranus, whether it's something happening that's disrupting a role, you want to disrupt your role, or an awareness of certain aspects of your authenticity that aren't really part of your outer role, there's a spotlight on that. And in terms of lunar aspects, we have the Leo moon squaring Jupiter in Taurus in the morning, which can make us a little bit more lazy. Like, when it comes to waning crescent moons, we typically do feel low on energy, typically want to kind of withdraw energy inward. And with the moon squaring Jupiter, we can be more prompt to excess, whether it's buying, eating, on social media, like just more. And that's added with the Leo moon conjoining Venus in Leo. So the Leo moon talks to both of the benefics. So again, we're in the mood for sweet things. We're in the mood for nice things. We're not in the mood for the tasks. And with the Leo moon conjoining Venus, really great day to pour love into those around you. Again, things are a little intense right now. So if you're not personally going through it, if there's a surprise of somebody within your orbit, really striving to be loving, to be there for them. Like, a lot of times when things that are unexpected unexpected happen, you can really feel supported by people around you. Like maybe, you know, on the side of the highway when you get that flat tire, like calling a friend who's like coaching you how step by step. Like for me, dealing with my ceiling bubble, like having people within my life who, you know, grounded me, anchored me. Like again, life is annoying, but people are what make it worthwhile. Tune into the sweetness around you. And it happens in the evening time. So it'd be a great happy hour, honestly, election, or going out to eat, or going to the park, be around beauty. Remember that there is so much good to life. I know sometimes if you're dealing with, whether it's just annoying stuff, or some of you had popped in last week that you're navigating breakups or grief or loss. Like sometimes when there's these intense things happening, we can go into this space and feel really disconnected with the sweetness of life. And sometimes these are nice elections to intentionally remind ourselves the sweetness of life, intentionally take ourselves to the ocean, even though there's so much we have to do, because we just need to see something beautiful. We just need to be reminded that there's beauty within the world. And that can be healing with the Leo moon trine Chiron. And again, this would be a great election for doing something spontaneous because the Leo sun does square Uranus that evening. And so there can be a disruption from the routine around, oh, I should eat the food that we meal prep, but I want to go out. I want to go to the beach. So it would be a great day to have a spontaneous after work activity, or to do something fun, or to create something fun that's out of the box. Again, sometimes life can get mundane. Sometimes you have to disrupt the role that you've been playing around. Oh my gosh, all I've been doing is this and this and this, and I'm just lying in my bed on my phone. I need to disrupt this role. I need to do something fun. I need to get out there. Tuesday's a great time for that. Especially since the new moon lands so early on Wednesday, you're likely going to feel it build late Tuesday night. So great time to be intentional around bucketing time for your personal sunshine, pouring energy into the people within your life who feel like sunshine, and giving yourself permission to shake things up every so often. You are not here to be a machine. You are not here to do the same thing every single day. So on Wednesday, the 16th, is when we have the Leo new moon. So it exacts for PDT. It exacts around 2:38 a.m. and that may very well land at a different time for you. So make sure to check your time zone. But essentially the essence of this Leo new moon, you can get a deeper dive over on my dedicated Leo new moon forecast. But with this new moon gathered with Lilith and squaring Uranus, like I was saying in the intro, it's about taking your power back, especially if there is a role that you've been assigned that you're no longer willing to play. So let me tell you a little something about Lilith. Lilith is pulled from a lot of different traditions, and now the darkness that she contains varies a lot within those traditions. Like in some traditions, she's eating babies. She's a femme fatale, like she is evil. And that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not saying be evil, okay, with this Leo new moon. What I am saying though is rebel, because that's the essence of Lilith in terms of how we use her within astrology, is that Lilith is about questioning the role that you are playing. Because the very essence of the main tradition that Lilith is pulled from is that she questioned her role. And that was very controversial. So within Jewish folklore, it was considered that Lilith was Adam's first wife. And because she refused to be subservient, she was essentially cast from the Garden of Eden. She was like, we need to be equals. If it's not Garden of Equals, I'm out. I'm not staying in the Garden of Eden. And she was out. She was cast out because she refused. She refused to diminish her power even a little bit. She knew she had this role that she was expected to be. You're expected to be this wife. And she basically took that and was like, no, it's not for me. So how Lilith has evolved in terms of how we utilize her within astrology is that it's about our repressed, essentially, desires, what's burning beneath the surface, and the aspects of us that might be controversial, that do stir up a fuss, right? That are not what's expected. And so with this Leo new moon, it's a really powerful time to get to the root of your own heartfelt desires, and to be comfortable carving a life that honors them, that you have the capacity to fulfill them. Because maybe you're not in the Garden of Eden being asked to, be with Adam, but maybe there's just certain things that are expected of you. But when you really go to your heart, because Leo governs the heart, and when you really go to what it is that you want out of life, that doesn't align with the bigger picture. And this is about no longer having guilt or shame about what it is that you want. And like I said, in some traditions, Lilith is a very, very dark entity. And I'm not saying be evil and rude and horrible to people all week. That's not what I'm saying at all. But what I am saying here is make peace that darkness does exist within you. Darkness exists for you to have sunshine. Like nothing is all love and light all of the time. People have bad days. They have aspects of themselves that are not ideal, right? And like I said, when we keep those aspects of ourselves in the shadows, they can get more and more powerful. And when you just embrace that you are a multifaceted being, like I said, you contain multitudes. You contain enormous amounts of kindness and sometimes a little bit of snarkiness as well, a little bit of sassiness as well. And embracing that and freeing yourself from whatever role that you feel like you have to play around always having to be the nice girl, always needing to be the good guy, or always needing to be the high achiever, or what have you, while negating and denying these aspects of who it is that we are. They have the capacity to grow because we're not making peace with it. Again, what we push into the shadows has the ability to multiply. And it's only around embracing you're a multifaceted being. You can be a loving mother, but also fierce when need be. You can be someone who is a complete boss in the boardroom, but also when you're hanging out with your girlfriends, super fun and dancing on top of tables. Like, we are not one thing. Free yourself from feeling like you need to be one thing all the time. You contain multitudes, and some of those facets, some of those nuances might not be your favorite. It might be aspects of yourself that you're trying to work on, trying to not be as sassy or what have you, or whatever it is that comes up for you. But again, we can only give ourselves the space to grow when we do acknowledge those things. Because oftentimes people pleasing is rooted in this shame of those aspects. So we're like, let's just show the best parts of us, but it's not sustainable. And taking back to the vibe check, that's why a lot of these pop stars or child stars in general, that's why they implode, because it's impossible to maintain this image forever. Like, the cracks are going to show. It puts a lot of pressure on a person to feel like they have to be perfect and, kid friendly and a role model all of the time, right? Which is why we have these experiences of wanting to rebel, of wanting to do their own thing, of wanting to be multifaceted around, okay, yeah, I was this child star, but now I have aspects of myself and my creativity and of my beauty that I want to put forward. And so when it relates to this new moon, it is a disruption of the role. It is about embracing the fullest extent of who it is that you are and how it is that you shine, letting go of other people needing to understand it. Because in the case of the pop stars, they got a lot of backlash, right? Like, for the vibe check, the actual music video that I got within my head was like Can't Be Tamed, and I just remember it created such a stir. People were like, oh my gosh, it's so controversial, it's so out there. And again, a lot of us aren't pop stars, but it is that essence around making peace with people are not going to get it. There's going to be backlash, there's going to be controversy, especially if people are very used to the role that you've been playing. Oh, she's the employee who handles all those extra tasks. Oh, she's the mom who always gets everybody from PTA. Oh, he's the friend who always plans all of the pickleball dates. Like, we can always count on him to handle it. Like, again, people get used to a certain perception of us, and sometimes there can be a little backlash around, what do you mean you're not going to plan it for us this week? You always plan it. What do you mean you're not going to get the kids? What do you mean you're not going to take my extra tasks? What do you mean? And there can be backlash. And it's just also understanding, for you to shine within your entirety, there's going to be shadows, okay? There's going to be haters, there's going to be trolls. And I think a celebrity example is great for this vibe check, because it's just a great descriptor around you can't please everybody. Like, celebrities are so adored, but they also have so many haters and so much people who are obsessed with that. Like, the more eyeballs that you have on you when you're shining within your entirety, you're going to have people who don't understand, who judge you or talk down to you. And you have to make peace with that. You have to make peace with people hating you or not understanding you. You cannot be everyone for everybody, especially on that grand level. You have to make peace that people are not going to like you, and you have to shine regardless. And I think the energy of Lilith is making peace with that. Making peace with, yeah, people might think I'm a B-word for asserting this boundary. Yeah, people might think that I'm a prima donna for having these particular expectations in those that I date. Yeah, people might say this, that, and the third, but it's not their life. And like, Lilith, the essence of it, again, in the traditions that we're talking about here, not all of them, but the essence that we're talking about here, it's about empowerment, understanding like, this is the role that everybody's expecting me to play, but it's not for me. And she was literally cast out. She was controversial. She was banished, right? Because she did not play the role that others wanted her to do. And so we have to get comfortable to understand it's your life, and people are not going to understand your decisions. They're not going to understand your desires. They don't have the chart that you do. They don't have the heart that you do. With the Leo new moon, check in with the heart space, because it will guide the way. And if you are feeling pushed into something that your heart is not in, like, Lilith, when it came to this decision, she was like, my heart is not in this marriage. I do not want to be subservient to you. I refuse to relinquish my power. Like, her heart was not in it, and she listened. And that's so scary to do when there's so many people telling you that you need to live in a certain way or live a certain sort of life. This is about taking your power back. You have a right to live your life the way that no one else does and the way that no one else might. And they may not understand. It may be very controversial, the roles that you are disrupting or the changes that you are making to move in the direction of what feels exciting and empowering for you at this moment in time. On the same day, we also have Mars in Virgo trining Uranus in Taurus. So this can manifest in very mundane ways around with Mars in Virgo. We have a lot of problems that we're solving right now with Mars in Virgo because Virgo is all about the little things. So maybe you're finding problems as it relates to your work, as it relates to your organization. Just with Mars in Virgo, a lot of us are kind of like busy bees getting things dialed in or solving problems or what have you. And with the trine to Uranus, you can be finding new solutions to like old problems. You can be finding that there's an energy around wanting to work in your own way. So maybe some of you are feeling this restlessness around feeling micromanaged at work, and with Mars trine Uranus just being like, I just want to do it in my own way. I promise I'll get all the stuff done, like Mars in Virgo, hardworking energy, but I just need to be able to do it in my own way. And people can try to tell you how to live your life, how to do your job, what have you. With the energy of Virgo, Mars trining Uranus, it's being able to show up for these tasks and show up for your life in the way that feels right for you and novel for you, and being even more effective at it. Like for you, maybe you're feeling this in terms of feeling micromanaged at work, because the energy of Uranus, it makes us want to do our own thing. And like with Mars and Virgo being like, I'm so much more productive and efficient when you give me the space to do my own thing and work in my own way, right? And so I want to say, if some of you are experiencing this on the other side where you're trying to control people or trying to tell them what to do or tame them, like this is an important week to understand. None of us can be tamed, okay? Channel your inner Miley Cyrus with the music video, dancing out of the cage. Like we're not here to be in cages. We're not told what to do, how to live, how to work. And with Mars trine Uranus, it can be empowering people's solutions, even if they look different than your own, as well as empowering getting your tasks done in a way that feels good for you. And the interesting thing about Wednesday is that after the new moon at 2:38, the moon's void all day. So you might find you're not necessarily the most productive, even though we do have that Virgo Mars trining Uranus. It would be great for handling the mundane or even maybe finding a new sort of way. I mean, be cautious with new, as Mars is answering to a ruler who is in its pre-retrograde shadow. Make sure to check out the Mercury retrograde video because that's next week, if you can believe it. So definitely be cautious if it's something brand new, integrating a brand new software. But let's say there's a new way to organize. There's a new way to work smarter and not harder. That would be supportive with Virgo Mars trining Uranus, as well as moving your body in a new way, maybe advocating for yourself in a new way. The moon will be void after the new moon, which lands around 2:30, until the moon enters Virgo at 4:14, which is a little bit more supportive as it relates to the to-dos and the errands and what you need to do in order to be productive and what have you. So on Thursday is a great day to kind of be productive, handle the things, handle the issues. It's almost like when we have Uranian sort of weeks or like Uranus new moon, there can feel to be like an explosion. And like the Virgo moon is when we kind of clear it up, whether we just need to lash out because we're so frustrated around this isn't right, like me dealing with the plumbers. They've now missed their window, but they did call me and say that they are running late and on their way over. It has been such a thing. Like again, maybe you're not dealing with plumbers, but just other frustrations, there can be energy around lashing out or kind of rebelling in your own way. And with Thursday, it's sort of around picking up the pieces, right? Whether you accidentally were a little sassy in a conversation to a loved one, this would be the energy around having a conversation. Whether something come up at work, Thursday is about getting to the root of it and solving the problems. Like Thursday, it is about dealing with annoying stuff because the Virgo moon does oppose Saturn. So there can be a disheartening vibe, a vibe around the mundane aspects of life are making it hard to like thrive and enjoy the rest of Leo season. But with the trine to Jupiter, we can feel better when we are taking the steps to improve our situation, whether it's we are lassoing the plumber to finally come out here, we are organizing and coordinating the pieces with our coworkers to solve the issue that came up earlier, we are having conversations that allow us to be seen in this new light that we're craving to be seen in. There's a lot of forward momentum that comes when we face things head on. That's the Virgo moon opposite Saturn around, hey, this is not working. There was an issue here. Let's face it head on. Let's gain clarity around where it is that we're feeling restlessness. That's the Sun square Uranus, where it is that we want change, where it is that we're not feeling like all that we are is being honored and expressed, and let's solve it. Let's handle the details in order to create forward momentum. That's really the essence of Thursday. And while the morning time you might be kind of blah, feeling a little over it, by the evening time with Virgo moon trining Jupiter would be a great great time to get outside, to do something maybe, you know, a little healthy with the energy of Virgo moon, like a picnic, like a healthy picnic, or going for, you know, a hike somewhere beautiful, something sensual that Jupiter and Taurus can enjoy, but something that is somewhat productive that the Virgo moon can enjoy. And then Friday is busy, busy, busy. Okay, there's going to be a lot of things to solve, a lot going on, a lot of communication coming in, perhaps some frustrations because the Virgo moon does meet up with Mars, but I will let you know, this is a hard working day, okay? And we are currently in the waxing crescent moon. So new moon is about what is the vision? What is this version of me that I want to see? How can I no longer be affected by people's judgment of me? How can I no longer need validation or need acceptance from other people on a false self? Like that's the new moon, is envisioning that, tapping into that. Waxing crescent moon is about acting on that. And with the energy of the moon in Virgo, maybe even taking small steps in order to get there. Like, you know, penning a nice letter that explains to the other PTA moms, like, I will not be able to get all of our kids every single day. I'd appreciate some support here. Maybe Marsha on Monday and Luann on Tuesday, or what have you. Or maybe there was like an explosion within your relationship. Like, I don't feel like you see all that I am. With the energy of Virgo moon, it's like, let's nurture our shared hobbies. How can I allow you into this aspect of who it is that I am? How can you see all these facets of what it is that I contain so I feel genuinely heard and understood by you? It's all about taking things into our own hands. And like I said, middle of the week is rebellious, it's feisty. And sometimes, especially if we've been hiding and pushing these shadow signs down, sometimes it can come up in a very explosive way. But I will say things calm towards the end of the week, where it's like, okay, let's take what came up as data, right? Where we're feeling frustrated, where things are happening that were not expected, where we're craving change, and let's handle the details of it. So on Friday, great day to handle your work tasks, strive to solve problems head on. Like the thing about Virgo moon is Virgo moon likes being productive. It likes to have the illusion of control, as we talked about earlier. Like, I'm sure that quote sent shivers down Virgo placement spines. And that's kind of the essence of Virgo moon, is that no, we don't have control over everything. But when we do our laundry and wash all of our sheets, we feel like we have control over something. We don't have control over everything, but we feel like when we handle all of the tasks, we feel like we're in control. It's an illusion that we are in control. Uranus energy reminds us of that, but at least it grants us peace of mind and allows us to productively work towards everything. Because you can go towards the Uranus side where it's like, well, nothing matters, I'm just going to do whatever it is that I want. Virgo energy kind of reminds us, like, in order to show up and do the best and be the best that we can with the body that we have and the talents that we have, the chart that we have and the situation that we have to show up for these mundane aspects and allow it to ground you down and maintain a peace of mind, especially if there are things that are happening that are very unstable, that are very erratic, that are very unpredictable, right? Like this whole snafu has thrown such a wrench within my week that it's been so important for me to show up for my routines. Like even sitting here, just like filming is kind of like calming me down and getting my mind off that there is a giant ceiling bubble and that it could be potentially growing mold as we speak. That's not good for me to think about all the time. So sometimes having my routines or my little things to anchor down and get my mind off of it and give me a feeling around something that I can control, because clearly I cannot control the plumbing, it gives peace of mind. So whatever it is that you're navigating, it can be helpful to lose yourself within tasks, within responsibilities, within obligations, in order to give your mind something. So it's like you can't control your relationship, but you can control how clean your house is. So deep clean. You can't control, the critic's reception to your most recent article, but you can control getting your laundry done. So it's allowing yourself to anchor into these little tasks that allow you to breathe a little easier. I would recommend Friday evening would be great for a workout class, something physical, as the Virgo moon does meet up with Mars, to kind of get some energy out of your system. You should be feeling really tired at night. Like you could have a very productive day during the day and then just want to like check out and like dissociate at night with the Virgo moon opposing Neptune. When it comes to Virgo moon, they're not just about laundry and tasks and responsibilities, okay? It is an earth sign. It likes to enjoy, it likes to partake with the opposition to Neptune, whether it's wine or an edible or whatever, there's an energy around wanting to check out. And sometimes it could be nice to have evenings like that if you had a nice productive day. But Neptune energy would also be prayer, meditation, art. I'm not advocating for it, I'm just saying. So this weekend is our final weekend of Leo season, so I better see you guys living it up, because I'm telling you, the sun ingresses into Virgo on the 23rd and it gets right down to business. It gets right down to business around the tasks, the responsibilities. It's still technically summer, but I do feel like with mutable signs, it is a transition. It's transitioning us into fall. So, we're getting ready for back to school for those who are in school. When it relates to business and like Q3, like there's just kind of a shifting of priorities happening. things. So all I'm saying, live it up, especially since we have the Leo sun and then the moon does enter Libra on Saturday. And so it could be a great time to nurture and balance into your relationships. Do something fun. I know sometimes, like for me, dealing with this, I swear I'll stop talking about it in a second, but I swear I just want to cancel all my plans and just sit here underneath this bubble. Like that would help anything. Again, sometimes it helps just get out into the world and connect with people to get out of our mind. And also the call with the Libra moon is around balance. So kind of finding balance, whatever has felt out of balance. That's where we lash out and get dramatic, getting videoed, you know, with salvia or what have you. It's when we don't have balance within our life, when we are having to be totally the good girl or totally this. Like I think the energy of Libra moon is just wherever it is that your life feels out of balance, you're working too much. This weekend is a call to pull it back. Maybe you had a really chaotic week and this weekend is just kind of about relaxing and taking it easy. Wherever it is that you're feeling like things are lopsided, you're spending too much time alone, you need to be around people. This week is about finding it and have a little bit of fun. It's the last weekend of Leo season. Express yourself, have fun. And the moon will enter Libra at 4:53 on Saturday. It's a void moon from 1:51 a.m. The closing aspect is the Virgo moon trining Pluto in Capricorn, and then it enters Libra shortly before 5 a.m. So then a Libra moon Saturday, find balance, indulge, and relax into your connections, and just bring yourself back into balance wherever you're noticing that things are like things are like this. Because again, when things are like this for too long, sometimes you can overcorrect too much. So it's like if you've been totally the good girl and the perfectionist, sometimes there could be that energy around lashing out and being absolutely wild. Like I think a lot of us maybe aren't pop stars, but maybe you can kind of relate with this around people that you went to high school with who were like very buttoned up and had very strict, you know, parents and never did anything bad, and like they were always the wildest people at parties, because it's like when you get a little bit of freedom, you just want to rebel and be wild and overcorrect yourself. So all I'm saying, this weekend is kind of a time to bring yourself back into balance wherever you feel like your scales have been shifted. On Sunday, the 20th, the Libra moon sextile Venus and Leo. So great time to create beautiful things just for the sake of being alive, just as a celebration of being alive. Think of it like Libra moon, it is calmed and satiated by being around beautiful things. And with it sextiling Venus and Leo, like the essence of Leo is about a celebration about being alive. And that's why it's related with children, because it's like children are just purely in the moment. Every moment is a celebration of being alive. And if you sometimes get in your own head as it relates to creativity around, oh, it's got to be like this, like getting back to just that essence around sharing with the world what it's like to be you, or what it's like to see the world through your lens. Like that's an energy on Sunday, as well as doing things and just freeing yourself from guilt of obligation. Like there's a big part of this week, especially with the new moon on Lilith, around no longer having shame or guilt. And I know a lot of us sometimes have to deal with guilt and wherever we're navigating this energy. For those of you who are parents, there can be guilt that you have to wrestle with around, oh, I work, so I'm not there with them all the time, like wrestling with that guilt. Or maybe some of you experience, you know, entrepreneur guilt, where you feel guilty every moment that you are not working, because you know every moment is a time that you could be doing stuff, or wherever it is that you are experiencing guilt around, I should be doing more, I should be being more. It's really this energy around, I'm doing enough, I am enough, I'm following my heart space, and no one's going to tell me what's right for my path and me. And if I'm the navigator of my life, I am fit to spend my time doing what it is that I want. And being who it is that I want. And with this weekend, have fun, indulge in nice moments, and don't allow those moments of guilt or obligation around, oh, I should be cleaning instead of doing this. Like Sun enters Virgo on Wednesday. We're having Mercury stationing retrograde on Wednesday. Okay, the time to handle to-dos and fix things and all of that will come. Enjoy. It might be a Sunday that, yes, you could be doing errands and responsibility. It can feel like a Sunday like any other, but it's a summer Sunday. It's a summer Sunday with the sun in Leo and the moon in Libra. Like I feel like the more that we dial into astrology, the more we realize that every single day, as mundane as it can feel like a Sunday like any other, right? There's something magic about it, because yes, there will be more Sundays, but there won't be a Sunday with this exact snapshot of celestial planets, right? You won't have the exact same relationships with others. Like with the Libra moon, great time to spend time with friends. Maybe you kind of hold and hermited during the waning crescent moon, and then this weekend is the time that you intentionally connect and invest energy into those connections. Like things are shifting and changing all around us, and that's the energy of Uranus. And I say this not to scare you, but But there will never be a Sunday like this Sunday. You will never have the exact same friendship that you have with this person that you do at this moment. Now, it's not saying you will be friends with that person, but as they change, as you change, as you both navigate life, new parts of yourself come out, new parts of how it is that you guys relate, new activities that you like to do together shift and change. If you're a parent, you know those little ones are constantly shifting and changing. Like, these moments are precious, and Uranus, it shakes us up, yes, which can give us a lot of anxiety as we deal with things that are unexpected, but it also makes us relish in the particular gift that is this moment, because Uranus energy reminds us things could change in an instant. So be fully here as you are here. Be in this chapter. Like, if I could go back to the Haley who was living in this apartment before the ceiling bubble, I would be like, do you know how good you have it? And again, it's not about fear, but all I'm saying, relish in this particular moment. You will never have this exact same astrology. You will never have these exact same friendships, this exact same iteration of yourself, right? You are constantly shifting and evolving. So anchor into these moments. Don't allow guilt or obligation that you need to run into the next moment without even fully just being present within this one. And last note with Sunday is just with the Libra moon opposing Chiron in Aries, there can be certain energies of loneliness as it relates to your connection. Like, if you notice you're hanging out with friends and two of your friends seem closer, like that could be a Chiron wound. Bring you back to times in the cafeteria when you felt like your best friends in elementary school were closer than you. Like, that's the interesting about Chiron energy, is that it can be external events that kind of prompt it, but it takes you back to a deeper wound. And just with Venus retrograde, we are revisiting inner child stuff. We are revisiting past relationship stuff. And so with the Libra moon opposite Chiron, it's kind of like activating a familiar wound. But again, it's about not allowing that wounded part of you to drive the show, right? Allowing you to lash out. And it's making peace with that around, oh yeah, I'm feeling a little jealous right now. And you're allowed to be jealous. This is all things within the shadow side that you could try to push and ignore and be like, no, I'm fine. No, I'm fine. It's okay to be jealous. It's okay to wrestle with this. And if you sit within that moment around, oh, I'm experiencing jealousy. Oh, I'm experiencing loneliness. Oh, I'm experiencing this. You sit with it. You make peace with it. And then it won't fester and grow as powerful as it would prior. Because again, if we ignore, I'm not jealous, you could, the next time you hang out with those people, lash out and be like, you guys never invite me. Like, again, things grow more powerful in the dark, and they grow more powerful when we ignore. So embrace all that you are. You contain so many nuances and so many facets that people will not even have the capacity to understand all that you are and all that you shine. So you cannot anchor your identity upon other people's ability to receive the capacity of who it is that you are, the ability to see the fullest capacity of who it is that you are. Some people don't like sunny days. Shine regardless. So my loves, that is our week. The Magic Monday mantra of the week is, I make peace with my sunshine and with my shadow. This is a huge part of this week's astrology, because like I said, Leo is a very bright, sunny energy. It's about creativity. It's about love. It's about passion. And that is part of you. You are your talent. You are your heart. You are your compassion. You are these amazing qualities. But you also need to make peace with the aspects of you that you're not necessarily proud of, the aspects of you that perhaps you're working on. You're aware of your envy, you're aware of your, sassiness or what have you, but you don't demonize it, right? You don't demonize yourself for being a human being, and that means having the full human experience, which is having some aspects of yourself that you're not necessarily proud of. And we do ourselves such a disservice when we feel like we have to be perfect on 100% together all of the time. It's not feasible, and it's a ticking time bomb, right? We observe that within child stars, constantly needing to have a certain image. There comes a time that you want to rebel and lash out and be a little wild, right? Because you were denied that ability to just make peace with the experience of humanity, which is just containing multitudes. And of course, a lot of us aren't pop stars. Maybe some of you are, who knows? But making peace with the aspects of you, especially the aspects of you that you could try to hide, because with Venus retrograde, it's a review of our heart. It's a review of our values, right? And it's a call for self-love, for genuine self-love. And that means loving the amazing aspects of you. That means loving yourself when you are dolled up and, doing your altruistic work and getting A's on all your papers and killing that work. That means loving that version, but also loving the version of you that's a little messy, a little rough around the edges, a little stressed dealing with random ceiling bubbles, a little frustrated with your kids as you drop them off at work. You are all of these things. You contain all of these nuances. Make peace with it. It is your power. Bet you thought that we made it an entire video without a cameo from Editing Haley, but you thought wrong. But I just have a brief note from the editing side of things, and that is that I forgot to say a featured emoji of the week. So if you made it to the end of the video, go ahead and drop a microphone emoji below, staying true to our pop star theme this week. My loves, I would love to have you in the Self-Care Summer Workshop Series. Make sure to check out the link below. Reminder, Leo Moon saves you 33% off on any tier. That goes for either the 4-week Moon course, Luminary Self-Care, as well as the 8-week Astrology course, Self-Care Astrology. My Instagram handle is @HaleyCometAstrology. My TikTok is the same. And fun little update, plumber's still not here. So now I get to change out of my mini dress, which is good. Because again, I know this week is not about having shame or guilt and expressing yourself and being the self that you want to be, but you've got to admit that's a pretty intense look for middle of the day with a plumber coming over. A black mini dress is a lot. So my loves, I'll see you next week, and until we meet again, drink lots of water and stay cosmic.